Hello, everyone. Have a good evening, good afternoon, or good morning. Now we have a short webinar presentation for 1 hour. It will take 1 hour. We are planning like that. So now we are going on, and the main issue is the key changes and impacts on IATF Rule 6th edition for IATF 16949. Yeah, it's a very fresh release of the rules, and I will try to explain the details and main points, key points for them. It's a general and generic presentation. First of all, I want to introduce. I am doing this webinar on behalf of CFE Cert, and CFE Cert is an independent auditing company accredited by UCAS and IAS, operating in many countries. And now I'm in Turkey, and we are doing this in Turkey branch. CFE Cert is a member of the British Education Accreditation Authority, CPD Certification Service, and is a member of the Association of British Certification Bodies. And CFE Cert provides gap analysis, training, audit, and certification services in many areas such as information security, business continuity, IT, service management, quality management, GDPR, personal data management systems. And in short, I'm also CFE Cert tutor, and I want to also introduce myself a bit. And give some milestones about my career. And I started in automotive industry in 1990 and industrial engineering engineer. And since 1990, I'm in the business. And after I worked professionally in companies as project management in engineering services, industrial engineering services, and quality management. After 1990, I started with aerospace defense industry, and I worked with a joint venture in Turkey. And as you see, management systems, I'm saying all letters and numbers. So I have deal with all of the letters and numbers there. And in 2000, after 2007, I've been IATF 16949 lead auditor. At that time, it was ISO TS. Now it's IATF, Automotive Management Quality Management Standard. And since 2012, I'm also international auditor, lead auditor for AS9100. It's aerospace and defense quality management system standard. So I'm both in automotive and aerospace defense industry. So now I'm doing this on behalf of CFE Cert, as I told. And what is the intent? Because we have some limited time. It's a quick review of the rules. Actually, it's an overview of IATF Rule 6th edition, but it's around 100 pages. So I try to make some main points, and especially the changes impacting the audited companies and organizations, and the audits, especially IATF 16949 audits. And if we can have some, we will have a quick session, maybe 15-20 minutes, if question and answer session. You can write your questions or comments in the chat session of the Zoom platform. And I will try to, after we end the presentation, I will wrap up and give some, I will try to give some answers to your comments or to your questions. And I want to also emphasize that this webinar focus on the main points and gives a generic approach for the direct impact on the clients requiring IATF certification, not a full and detailed explanation of the new 6 rules, and not fully considers the requirements for CB. CB is the abbreviation for certification bodies and back office management. Mostly, I want to say that mostly the companies face with the audits from the certification bodies, and most of them knows, but mainly they don't know the back behind the curtains, I would say, because mostly their intent is to prepare their quality management system according to the standard rules and have an audit and have their certification and continue their certification accordingly. But also there is a scheme rules, and there are some rules that also applies to the certification bodies, some auditor qualifications, some certification body internal organization requirements based on the ISO 17021 standards. It's the management system standard for the certification body. So I don't want to go in detail with that. Sorry, I would come back in just a second. Sorry. Sorry, just I am in the hotel room and the door ring and they brought something. So I'm going with that. Sorry for the short interruption. So mainly there's a scheme rules, and there are some, it's a big organization, it's a kind of rules like that. So I don't want to go in detail in the short time. And mainly we try to make the presentation for the audited companies or the companies requiring IATF standard. And the impact mainly focus on that in this presentation. I want to say this, emphasize for you. So we can go in deep with the, how we say, the rules session. As a story of the change, on March 31st of 2024, the IATF, the International Automotive Task Force, mainly is European and American OEMs, as you know, most of them knows, I think. They have a balloting for the 6 rules and have some shareholder comments, and it will be implemented starting 1st of January 2025. So it will be replacing the 5th edition. The rules specify the requirements for achieving and maintaining IATF 16949 Automotive Quality Management System certification, mainly for the companies, for the clients, I would say. The IATF rules also come with sanction interpretations and frequently asked questions. If you are in this business, I assume that you are in automotive sector and mostly you are in quality, or you are interested with this standard. Knows there's a IATF global website. So beyond the rules, they also you can also access from there the sanctioned interpretations about the standards, about the certification. There are sometimes gray areas. So IATF evaluates that, interprets and makes some sanctioned interpretations. I would say approved comments about the rules and standard. Also, there's another frequent asked question. So the rules not only applies by itself, also you have to know about SIs and frequent asked questions. So these clarifying the existing requirements. Sometimes it's not very understandable, or the implementation is very new or needs some kind of comments. So IATF also issues these documents to clarify the rules. So if you go in deep and check for the what has changed, I assume that the attendees know the fifth rules more or less. If they are auditors, they know. If they are quality management representatives, also you buy the published rules before. So most of them, I assume, knows about the fifth rules. So I focus on the what is changing according to the audited companies. One of the things is, I think, is the definition or eligibility for certification changed a little bit, and also the terminology reviewed. Before it was saying tangible products, tangible automotive products. So if you want to have an IATF certification, you need to, how we say, be in this area, and you have to be producing or design and production of the automotive products. So it's limited to the automotive products. So what is automotive products? Now there's a new term in the sixth rule. It's describing the parts and processed materials manufactured for automotive vehicles. For automotive vehicles. And what is automotive vehicles? Shall be understood as homologated vehicles that are intended to be driven on public roads. I think there is no sanction interpretation for now, but I think the old one still remains. The off-highway vehicles not eligible. The companies making products for off-highway vehicles like tractors, bulldozers, or some other excavators or something like that, or trailers, also not included before. It is still going on because it says that it should be on the highway or public roads, driven on the public roads. Also, there are some embedded software, some electronical items, and other auto-driven cars, self-driven cars coming on. And so they also explains or details the automotive products. Automotive products, they put in three things: parts, including those with embedded software, means electronical ones, and processed materials, which are manufactured to an automotive customer specification and integrated into the automotive vehicle during its manufacture. Also, we can say production parts or production materials. Integrated also pertains to parts and materials that are filled into, attached to, connected to, or placed in or on the vehicle. So if you are making a steering wheel in your company, or you are making a sheet metal cold stamping part, you are eligible, and it is if it goes to the production line in an OEM, at the end you can be in the fifth or sixth level in whatever in the supply chain. It doesn't matter. If it finally goes to the OEM production line, and as it says, attached to, filled to, or connected to, or placed to a vehicle, that is driven on public roads, then you are eligible to IATF. And also parts manufactured to OEM specifications that are procured or released by the OEM, procured and released by the OEM, and integrated into the automotive vehicle after its manufacture and before or after delivery to the final customer. You can say accessory parts. Before it was something gray, but now in the old rules also they have given some examples. For example, there's a first aid kit or a pulling iron or something like that. So it is also included in the eligibility of the certification to IATF. But there is I can say, confusing explanation in the Rule 6 also, replacement parts. Maybe some of them knows, or most of you know that there was two kind of replacement parts. One of them is aftermarket parts. One of them is OES, we could say, original spare parts. So original spare parts was also included before. Now they put a new definition, and they say replacement parts and materials for automotive vehicles, including remanufactured parts. Before, if one company was not producing or making after delivery parts by, how you say, reverse engineering or remanufacturing the parts, it was not included. Still, this C section, replacement parts and materials, needs some kind of interpretation from IATF because before they were not eligible. So replacement parts is the original parts or the ones that are remanufacturing aftermarket parts, but it is in the definition, it is under definition of automotive products now. So this is eligibility. The new 6 rules puts like that. If we go to the differences for the new rules, you know, there is an extended 3 kind of certification structure: single site with extended manufacturing site, and also corporate scheme. There are 3 different certification structure. With the new rules, the change is extended manufacturing sites. It means, what is extended manufacturing site? I would say in short, one company making a door car production in a location or in an address, but makes an sub-assembly in another address, and it's a kind of remote shop floor or something, and owner is the same. So they are doing in 2 different locations, but the final product is delivering from the main site. Now they put with the 6th rule the distance. The extended manufacturing site shall be not more than 10 miles or 16 kilometers, or driving distance of more than 60 minutes. Then the extended site will not be considered as a site extension. It will be considered a separate site. So if this is more than that, the extended manufacturing site far from the main site, one is one city, the other is 120 kilometers in other city, then we need, the new rule says there should be 2 separate site certificates. Both can be separately single sites, or in a corporate scheme, we can also unite them together. So this is one of the changes. And of course, there is a certification body between the client that requiring the IATF audit and certification, but there was a legal contract in between. But for the new rules, it says before the implementation starts in 1st of January 2025, the certification bodies shall also finalize the legal contracts with their clients. And if there are additional sites or other corporate scheme, other additional sites shall be also added to the agreement. And after the 1st of January, the implementation will start. So before the, I would say, start of the implementation, the CBs shall be prepared. The client and CB shall have legal contract, including the new rules. Why I put this here? Because of our experience in auditing, it's always there are some problems and missing things about this. Because the client or client representative only sees the auditing side of it, there are some other transactions ongoing. So there are some lots of different rules. So this is very important, especially for the representatives. They are dealing with the certification bodies during auditing, or they are managing this. If there is a change about this, for example, legal status, ownership status, management structure, location, address change, scope of operations, outsourcing of the quality management system to other organizations, customer dissatisfaction scenarios. This is also, I would say, detailed in IATF or other company, other customer specific requirements. There are some also, as I know, there are some timing for that. Or a signed contract with another IATF, you shall, the company, the client, shall notify the certification body immediately. Mostly, when we are making the planning, it is only, for example, we have only, we sent everything, and 10 days before we are going to the company, and we see that there are lots of changes and we didn't know about it. So it is also a risk for the loss of certification. So always be in communication with the certification body about these changes. All the things have their own procedure and it can be handled. Don't be afraid of that, but there should be a kind of time that the certification body can react on this. If you don't send this information, or you send in a short notice, then you can lose your certification. So I especially emphasize this point. Audit cycle. Now for the surveillance audits, and it starts with the initial certification stage 2 end date, or recertification end date. You have to count on that. The surveillance audits shall take place plus or minus 3 months from the due date. What is due date? For example, the first initial certification or recertification ended in 1st of March 2024. Then this is the audit cycle, not the certification cycle, because certification issue date is different than the auditing cycle. So the audits takes place according to the audit cycle. Don't mess around with this and don't confuse it on that. Follow the audit cycle. The certification body is also following this, but you should also be aware of that. For example, 1st of 2024, you make the certification, or first stage to end it in 1st of 24. You will put 1 year, 1st of March 2025 plus and minus 3 months. So you have a 6-month window to do this audit. If the client refuses to have the audit within this time period or try to postpone it or something like that, without any audit extends past this, then the certificate will be cancelled, the new rule, and there will be no suspension allowed, and the client will start the process again with the initial audit. So T0, we are saying, if you pass through this timing, you will go from the beginning. And it will have kind of a loss of certification, loss of reputation, or loss of money, because it will take more, much more expensive than a recertification or surveillance audit. Also, there was before 6 months or 9 months audit frequency. Mostly the companies, I think, because of that, they removed this, because now more or less 1 year period is common. So 6-month audit frequency is removed. The audit duration, this was also in frequent asked question, current frequent asked question or sanction interpretation. If the IATF OEM, there are 2 OEMs, you know, the IATF member OEMs and the others. Also, the others are important. Mostly, if the OEM is IATF, for example, Ford, Chrysler, or BMW, something like that, your customer is the IATF OEM. Quality and delivery target does not meet the targets, the quality delivery KPIs. That should be, it's in the rule, but they put in the rules before it was frequent asked question or sanction interpretation. Now you should add additional time to review the situation, why it is not achieved the target for IATF OEM, KPIs, quality and delivery, what is the intention, what are the corrective actions. But if the new rule also puts that if it is not possible to add additional time to this audit, then a special audit shall be conducted within 60 calendar days of the closing meeting. For example, you go to surveillance audit, and you see that the delivery performance is low for the company, the IATF OEM delivers, and the company, I would say, have some answers or responses or to the IATF OEM, and the process is ongoing, and you don't see the result, then the auditor, according to the rules, if cannot conclude the situation, a special audit shall be conducted within 60 calendar days of the closing meeting to see the result of it. If it is resolved or the quality delivery targets met, or everything's in place and smooth and going on well. Also, there was before pre-audit and gap analysis studies. The companies were sometimes requesting this from the certification bodies. Now it is cancelled. It's no longer permitted. So it is deemed as consulting. As you know, there's a conflict of interest situation. If you cannot audit the company that you consult or you give training within 2 years, or from the end of the consulting or training, after 2 years, you can go for auditing for the auditing companies or auditors. So pre-audit and gap analysis study requesting from the certification body is no longer available now. It is cancelled and not permitted. For the corporate certification structure, before it, there was a table for the percentage. For example, there's a headquarter in one city and 2 manufacturing sites and 1 standalone support activities for 5 different locations. And before, according to the number of sites, there was some different, I would say, reductions. Now, only 15% of reduction is included now with the sixth rule. So if you go with the corporate structure, you can only have 15% reduction in the audit day calculation. So 20, 30, 40% reductions have been removed from the rules. And also there's a letter of conformance in the eligibility section. We said that because there's a, I would say, chicken and egg situation, I could say, your customer wants certification and you go to a certification body and it says, are you eligible or working for the automotive industry? So there was a chicken and egg situation. So the letter of conformance is to break this situation. Letter of conformance means that the company is doing his business, start his business, but there is no 12 months, I would say, KPIs or history of the KPIs management system. So it's an initial, I would say, kickoff of the company to go on with it and to be eligible for the IATF certificate afterwards. So it still goes on with the new rules. But it says for a client applying for initial certification after the letter of conformance, no stage 1 readiness review is required. Stage 2 initial review is required. And audit days can be equivalent to recertification audit days. So you start with the letter of conformance and you are now eligible and you apply for the initial certification and your 3 years period or audit cycle will start with that. Then it says that there is no need for the stage 1 audit readiness review again, because during the letter of conformance also you're doing like stage 1 and stage 2 at that point. So now they say it's not required. And before it was half of the stage 2 audits, but now it says recertification audit days. There's a table in the rules, so it should be shortened, but not very shortened, I could say. Under the following conditions, the certification body shall be the same. For example, you take the letter of conformance from a certification body and go to another certification body for initial certification, then this rule not applies. You have to start with initial certification rules. And no more than 12 months have passed. And there's a special audit to verify the effective implementation of corrective actions for the non-conformities, which caused the certificate withdrawal. If there's a withdrawal, if there's a previous certification withdrawal. Also, I want to say that it's not only applies for the letter of conformance. This also applies for the ones that the certification withdrawals or cancelled or expired. There's a certification ongoing and suddenly, or because of some causes, the certification withdrawed and cancelled or expired. Also, it is the same. And the total reductions shall not exceed 30%, the audit mandates. And there's a standalone remote support locations. For example, there's a design center in France, and it supports global company. It supports 10, 15 different sites for the design, I could say. The audit program for a standalone remote support location starts with an initial audit or transfer and is then followed by ongoing surveillance audits. What it means, for example, we had some issues like that. Still, we have. We start a company. There is a, I could say, manufacturing site, and there is a standalone remote support location. And you make the initial certification, and in surveillance audit, you see that, or second surveillance, you see that there's a new remote support location also included. So we were trying to also include this support location again. So it says it should be in the same cycle with the site. It should be go like that. So there's another procedure for that, but before it was the standalone remote support location. We were making the certification, recertification, and there were some different cycles at that point. Also, this needs to be some kind of interpretation from IATF, I think, because the rules are not very clear on that. For non-production design functions, if there is a remote support location, shall be audited at least every 24 months, plus or minus 3 months from the initial or transfer due date. But if the support location for the site is a product design center, then according to another rule, it says because in each visit you have to audit product design. If the product design supported by a remote support location to the site, then every 12 months plus or minus 12 plus 3 months, also it shall be included in the audit program, and it shall be also audited. And failure to conduct an audit in due time shall result in an initial audit. You go to zero at that point. But there are some indirect sites, remote support locations. For example, there's a warehouse place, there's storage area, or something like you only send parts and it's only for distribution or something like that. According to it's also detailed in the rules, according to the conditions or requirements, these sites, or there's a headquarter only making a management or purchasing, and if according to the rules, it can go to with remote auditing technology, it can be audited remotely with remote auditing technology. For the another issue, also very related with the especially the organization representatives, the client shall agree on and confirm audit dates for initial certification audits, surveillance audits, and recertification audits not less than 90 calendar days prior to the due date of the audit. For example, we are saying in my example before, 1st of March 2025, plus or minus 3 months, the client, the organization requiring IATF certification, and the CB shall agree on the dates 90 days prior to the audit date. We have lots of issues like that, and it's a challenging one. I don't know in the implementation how it will go. We will see. The audit date that is, how you say, agreed on can be changed, but the justification shall be recorded or by the certification body why it has changed, and it should be recorded in the audit in the back office only or in the certification body. If the client notifies us they will not run automotive production during the plant audit days, then the audit shall be postponed or cancelled. However, this may result in the client's loss of certification if the postponement is outside of allowable timing. For example, 1st of 25, if you count back February or January, and you agree on February 2021, 23, and the client says we don't have any automotive products at that time, still you can reschedule the audit. But if it's out of this window, also minus 3 months, then it can be resulted with a loss of certification. And you should be very, I would say, focus on that as the organization or representative or client. Not everything is CB, it is the rules. For the audit planning, this is another issue also. We have experienced this a lot. No less than 30 calendar days before the audit, the information shall be provided to the CB or the auditor. And we have lots of challenging problems like that because mostly it is assumed by the client or some time-consuming or only a file or paperwork or some contract issues or something like that. We could not have proper information or proper information in proper timing before the audit. So now the rule says no less than 30 calendar days. You should, for example, we said 1st of 25, 30 days before, I could say 1st of February or 25, the client shall have the provided information. Because we are doing a pre-planning and we are doing some audit planning, and we have pressure also to issue the audit plan at least 14 days before the audit. And this is in red, I could say, failure to submit this information. We are trying to manage this. We are on behalf of the organizations, but the rules sometimes are rules, and we don't have anything about this. This information in time is not sent to us. Then can be or could be or will be resulted in loss of certification. Before there was a gray area, now they put the rules. So be careful about this to send the information beforehand. And there was a pre-opening before in the 5th rules. Now it is cancelled. There is no time or it is not allowed because even if we have the audit planning or pre-audit documentation, they are missing and we don't understand, they are mixed or have problems. We were, I would say, reviewing it with the company before the opening meeting, and we were doing the planning almost just before the start of the audit. Now it is not allowed. You shall send all the information beforehand. And it says 30 calendar days before. The only exception is management review records because of confidentiality or some other issues. Then you can have it says additional 2 hours shall be added to audit plan before the audit planning and to review the MR records. But for me, the best thing is to send everything, the information, everything, and try to understand both sides and have some time or allowance to the auditor to make the pre-planning and do the good result of a audit plan, because good preparation makes good auditing. So we are all quality people, you know, PDCA, plan, do, check, act. Sometimes we are checking, acting, doing, and then planning. So we should do the planning first. The previous 1 hour pre-meeting is not longer. I have said that. And non-conformity management. Any special audits as a result of 100% result. What is 100% result? Means there's an issue, corrective action. The effectiveness started, but we don't have the evidence that we verified that it is not existed or it is not clear yet, and waiting for some kind of ERP implementation, some kind of buildings or something like that. So we are saying 100% result, and still the package reviewed and the company gets the certification or ongoing certification. But it says if there is 100% result non-conformity raised by the auditor, shall be conducted the special audit not less than 9 days before the next scheduled audit. It can take sometimes. I have just did that. For example, last year, because of some customer issues, I have make a closure with 100% result for customer issues. And before the next scheduled audit, 60 days or before or 9 days before, I have go there and I have wrap up and close to verify the corrective action at that time. So it says if you cannot, you need time for 6-7 months or something like that, mainly for the customer issues. There shall be a special audit to see that the 100% result is now closed and verified, and before the next scheduled audit. And before that, the client shall also show all the evidence for the final verification and fully implemented. And before the special audit, the NC and all the evidence that shows these are result shall be submitted to the auditor a minimum of 30 days before the special audit. So, for example, you have 100% result, next scheduled audit 1 year after, and you have 6-7 months to get all the evidence, then you have very limited time. So you have to act very effectively on that, not to have any problems or any different situations. The special audit to verify 100% result status is one-time special audit. This is very important. Luckily, for example, for the special audits I have done for that specific job, I had 2 special audits, and how to say, cheers for that. The 6th rule didn't implement it yet. The company has the ongoing certification now, but it says you can only have one shot. You will go to special audit, and you don't see any, as an auditor, you don't see the required evidence that all is finished, all is well, and everything's in place. Then you don't have any other option. So you don't have any chance to have a second special audit. So be very careful about this with these ones. And technical review, the client will be left with the draft report at the closing meeting, and get a final report after 15-20 calendar days. The draft or non-conformity still is on the rule. the non-conformance shall be left to the company before the closing meeting and agreed upon. But this is also before the draft report was not required. Now the draft report also shall be left to the company, and after 15-20 calendar days, the final report will be giving an internal technical review for the CB shall make a initial or interim review of the package. This is also belongs to it's a letter for the auditors and certification bodies. But you should also be aware of that. The start date of any resulting decertification means the suspension, withdrawal decision, and cancellation of the things. The certificate not starts according to the rules. You will see the details. Not starts with the date of the receipt of the final report. It starts with the date of the audit closing meeting. So be careful about that. If there's something like that, you see. I hope you will not, but if there is something happens like that, you should be aware of it. Therefore, you have the NC management, and you should go on and not wait for the final report, because final report can take 10-15 days to have, but still you have the NC and you have to go on with the NC management process. 3-4 slides left. Sorry, I'm trying to explain, not only reading, try to explain some, giving some samples about that to understand more. And if the client is going to apply for certification, the client shall have an initial. I confused. I think we should, I would say, make a correction about that. I will quickly say that to you. The rule here is not for letter of conformance. I'm confused at that point. Forget about letter conformance. If the client applying for initial certification and before there's a withdrawal, cancellation, or expiry, also I have a case like that last year. And the certificate is no longer available and applied again for initial certification, start from the beginning. This means that there is no stage 1 readiness review is required. And based on these conditions, stage 2 audits will be performed. It's not related with letter of conformance. I have to correct this. There was a mis-explanation at this slide. Now, if you go to the letter of conformance here, if the client is going to apply for certification, the client shall have an initial audit, stage 1 and stage 2, with a 30% reduction in stage 2 days before the expiry of the letter of conformity. If the time exceeds from the issue date of the letter of conformance, 12 months exceeds, then the reduction will not apply. It shall be evaluated as an initial certification. I think we are clear on this. And after letter of conformance, still not eligible, or there are some other issues. Also, I have this case also 2-3 times. If the client applies for a second letter of conformance, a 30% reduction of the audit days will apply if the audit is conducted before the expiry date of the letter of conformance. Now, it's not in the rules. I think maybe they have. I think 2 cycles is enough to deal with, to go with the eligibility for the IATF. I think after 2 years, I think the company can say, I don't have any clients, I will not go on this. I think they assume like that. Before it was saying there is no third approval for the letter of conformance. You will take the certificate or you will not take it. You will go to ISO 9001 if there is no, after two letter of conformances and still you are not successful to have the eligibility, you will go to ISO 9001. That's the case. He has said that the CB shall not schedule, plan, or undertake any activities or make changes to scope with the applicant until a legal contract is signed between the organization and CB. For clients transferring from a CB to another CB, new CB shall establish a client record in the IATF database. This is more office management behind the curtains within 7 calendar days after a legal contract is signed, the new CB. This will ensure that IATF Global Oversight and IATF OEMs can see that the client has signed a new contract with new CB and that the client is already in the transfer process. So this is the rules for the management accreditation rules. And stage 2 certification audit, the time between the closing meeting date of the stage 1 readiness assessment. Now they change stage 1 as readiness assessment, the terminology, and has 2 phases now, part 1, part 2. Part 1 is more document review, part 2 is more operational, something like that. You can also see that you can read in detail in the rules. The beginning of the stage 2 certification audit shall be a minimum of 20 calendar days. So we also had this scenario. For example, stage 1 date is mostly in ISO 9000, some other ISO schemes, they are doing this. On Monday, stage 1, and Tuesday starts the stage 2 audit. It's not logical because there should be a kind of, first you have to understand the mechanism is on and the management system is up and running or whatever, and the operational mostly. And now they are, I would say, making more close it like stage 2, the stage 1, to see more operational close. And it also, there is a checklist in the CARA report. If there's a stage 1, there are some detailed questions for operational one part 2, and the part 1, the document review, they study. And also they change the timing for stage 1 to 1.5 to 3 days or something like that. So it needs more investigation, more understanding of the company, and more operational items before the stage 1 decision is important. And there should be at least 20 calendar days. And I agree with that. I agree with all of them, but this is also more practical, and it should be like that. You need some time to react or to be prepared for stage 2. Not consecutive audits. It should be like that. After certification withdrawal, for clients who have lost previous certification, for example, in the last 3 years, a special audit will be required if the issue which led to the withdrawal of certification is still present. The audit is entered into the IATF database as failed, and additional special audits can be conducted until satisfactory result is achieved before moving forward to an initial audit. Still, the reason, for example, 4 years before the company certification canceled or withdrawed, and you go after 3 years, make a special audit. I have also performed this last year. And still the causes or reasons are present, then the audit will no longer will be failed, and it can be repeated after the satisfactory result is achieved. And then you will go to initial audit if you will have you will have the new certification afterwards. So these are in a short time, I try to explain more or less these. And if you have any questions or any explanations, yeah. There is a question in the chat. How does the IATF Rule 6th edition impact supply chain management? This is the supply chain management, I could say. Because as you know, the supply chain is the OEM tier one, the first level, second level, N level. So it goes like that. And mostly what IATF does, in the rules, it says the companies working directly as tier one to the OEMs shall have the IATF certification. And also they put in the, I think in the standard, there is a roadmap for that. They said the ISO 9000 is the first level, and then you will go ISO 9000 and second party audit for IATF, blah, blah, blah. And at the end it goes to, so they shows in each, all the levels, and also in the standard it says, it is a goal to have all the supply chain to IATF, but not in one night on in one time. It says it gives a roadmap. So it starts from the OEM, tier one, tier two, tier three, like this, and it will affect everything because it is the how you say, language of the sector, standard of the sector, and if you want to work in the sector, in automotive sector, you shall also apply and comply with these requirements. Most of the operational ones, everybody knows APQP, PPAP, control plan, FMEA. Even if you are ISO 9001 approved, your customer, if they are in automotive sector, more or less 70% of the implementations apply, because everybody is doing, even if you are ISO 9001, your customer wants APQP, PPAP, FMEA, MSA. So more or less it's the standard. So it affects everything. So be prepared for that. The impact of supply chain, the timing, more strict. Another I can say for the rules. Sorry, I get it like ISO IATF standard, but for the rules also the same thing. More strict rules, more delivery quality issues shall be monitored like that. And at the end, the other question there's another question also. Are there any new requirements for risk management in the 6th edition? Now, yes, I could say. These are all risk management, that all the clauses, everything. But also it shows for the mainly for, it's not included in the presentation, mainly for the certification bodies or accreditation process or certification process, mainly for climate changes, business continuity, backup planning. These are all risk management issues for the certification, IATF certification and accreditation. If there is no other questions, I could say thank you all to listen to me, and I try to do my best. I hope we would see each other face to face. I'm telling everything to the computer monitor now. And have a good night and good evening, good morning, and according to your time area. And today, as Turkey, we are waiting for the match, the European Championship. I hope everybody will be also. I am very excited for that, and It was a very nice tournament. I hope we will have a good result and the best will win, I would say. Thank you very much.